I'm so excited for you to tune in to this episode where I sit down with my good friend, licensed psychotherapist Althilia Moore, to talk about the connection between mental health and financial empowerment and just some of the struggles that we face mentally and emotionally as we try to accomplish wealth and other goals, right? We touch a little bit in this introductory episode about how trauma, culture, self worth can either, and other things, can either block or unlock our ability to grow, not just emotionally, but financially and also spiritually too. So whether you're healing or growing or just if you're just feeling stuck, this episode is for you. So I'm excited for you to tune in. Please let me know what you think in the comments and please share if you heard something that you liked. See you on the other side. So excited to have my first guest on the Beyond the Numbers podcast. I'm so excited and I'm kicking it off with the best, one of my fastest friends and lady that I have come to really respect and love very quickly. I'm so excited to share her with you today. And I wanted to welcome Miss Althilia Moore.
Thank you.
So excited to have you, my friend.
Thank you.
This is a dream come true. I am so thankful that you agreed to do this. I know you are super busy, but I want to say thank you. I'm so excited to have you here. Before we get started, yes, right? Before we get started, talk about all the things because we have some stuff to talk about for sure. Before we get started, I wanted us to go over a little bit of your background. I had the privilege of reading your bio and checking out your website, and I was blown away. And so I wanted you to kind of speak to who are you and let us know how did you end up in mental health and therapy? What is that story? And just give us a snapshot of who you are.
Well, thank you for having me with you. This is only a dream come true to be talked to be heard, and just to feel accepted. Thank you for having me and giving me the chance and opportunity to talk about me, something that's not common. I started in this journey, in the mental health journey, via my own life experiences, misconceptions. A lot of times I recall not feeling like I was understood, or I was the child that had the questions, all the questions, all the time. And apparently I had a lot of right questions, but didn't get the answers, right? I was thinking about this myself. It seems to resurface itself when I get in different areas and spaces in my life. So my remnants of this was, I remember I was an entry level nurse, and I did medical assistant work. I was already a mother, a teen mom. I had a lot of respect for education and things like that because it was in my home. It was priority, just like taking a shower and cleaning up. And I found that listening to others, it really gave me something to take home with me. And I would see people in different medical situations that were either rehabilitating from, or there was a time where I worked on the oncology floor where people were actually getting ready for end of life. So I had experiences with that. I would work on hospice, and I had visitation with people ending life early on as well. And it was always interesting to me. Was never scared though. I wasn't scared of it, but it always gave me something to question. And I was that person that had a lot of questions growing up, probably too many, but thank goodness I come from a lovely family that allowed me to talk. They never told me to be quiet, but I had lots of questions, and I found that it wasn't really that part that gave me my biggest interest. It was what people were doing to get themselves healed. I was always curious about how we behaved. So I wanted to know if that was something that I could draw on or learn about. And that's what brought me to the mental health field, because it offered the programs that it had, it reflected what my interest was about human behavior.
Wow. I think so much of what you're saying to me is I was thinking about a lot of times when we look at who we become when we get older, a lot of times when I hear people who are operating in their calling as an adult, it's something from their childhood that kicked it off. It always feels like it's this like seed that gets planted. And then people who follow that, like yourself, you feel this thing and you go through life like, I feel connected to this. But I feel like so many people veer off from the thing that they felt so connected to. I definitely think I was one of those people who just didn't hear the voice all the way through. So hearing you talk about how it wasn't kind of like this, oh, I just decided I wanted to go into mental health and then just went to school and did it. This is kind of something that is true to who you are. And I think that's really important because I think so many people don't do that and they find themselves in job relationships, like professions that they don't like. They don't even feel called to. I love that. What I was curious to know what is like a for you now. I know you work in you do a number of different things, but what what's your specialty if you would say you had one? What's your specialty that you or something that you really like to work with in mental health?
I really love the research that I do in for community and rebuilding community. My whole entire clinical niche has all the respects to, let's say, the families, individuals that make up community that are difficult communities, right? So those particular circumstances, those situations, those particular generational stories and generational traditions have all
Yeah.
huge interest in me. And
I love
that's where
that.
I find my forever work is what I call it. It's my
Yeah.
lifelong learning work.
Yep. I'm big on community too. I think that's why we connected, is because I think
Mhm.
community is where it's at. I really do. I think, especially since COVID, I think so many people struggle because they kind of lost connection because we just learned how to do everything siloed on our phone, online. We really got out of being in situations where we're actually having support and conversation and working together and building a community and understanding what our community needs and how being a part of a community impacts you overall. I think sometimes we're a little removed from that
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
I was kind of having a little quick conversation with my mom about back in the day and how a community functioned. The community wasn't perfect, and we all know that we all come from communities that have its struggles, right? And things that we don't want to highlight all the time. But it was important that you had that you had community. It was a real important thing, and I think we've lost that. And that's why I think this work that you're doing is important. I think the work I'm doing is important, is because we're trying to bridge the two. Again, we're trying to build that back together. And
Yeah, because that's what the breakdown is, right? That's the breakdown for the rebuild and the
yeah,
build up, right? Finances, mental health, right? Family, individual functionality, because that those things amount to the quality of for the human to actually be able to live through, live with, and to be able to grow themselves and power up enough for someone else to live in that same space. It's like a shared space of all this power that is actually being practiced from individuals. They feel strong through their identity, through what they do, how they contribute, how they're loved from family, or all those things. It's all inclusive, exclusive too.
So true. So true. As you know, and I go on from there, especially talking about individual coaching and consulting when you're coaching people individually. It's a gift. But I do see how a lot of times people think one thing is their issue, but because you're on the outside, and I know as a therapist, this is probably like your whole little sweet spot is that you have the ability to help someone see that I know you think that's what's going on, but hey, let's really start walking this through so I can show you there's actually something else that's happening that maybe you're not looking at, or there's another reason behind your behavior, right? One of the reasons why I created the podcast was because I found out that I was helping people with their finances. And we were talking about wealth creation and wealth building. And I easily started to figure out that that was really connected to mindset. And it was also really connected to a belief system. And you can teach somebody all day about investing and saving and budgeting and investing in the stock market or saving for a home or scaling their business. You can talk to people about that. There's all kinds of fancy tools that I could pull out and all my little gadgets and AI stuff. But at the end of the day, I realized that it was doing no good because the person's belief system, their mindset, the things that they even believed about themselves. Also, we talk a lot about also what they believe about God or their spiritual connection is a big part of their like the way they live their life. And with women especially, and I found that with women and men, but I think with women especially, it's hard because women are constantly putting them down here and kind of putting other people up here. And so not only are you tackling wealth building and financial mindset traumas or things that belief systems about what's possible for you as a woman, women also have this problem of putting everybody else first and kind of going last, and they feel like they're in survival mode all the time. And one of the biggest things I think reasons why me and you are having these conversations is because we need to figure out a way to help us through this, like help us through this part, the burnout, the emotional guilt of choosing you and choosing yourself and not choosing this, or feeling like that you could go after something you really want and not let someone else down. When we talk about individuals, because individuals make up community and family, I feel like women are kind of like the cornerstone of family and community. I know boys are going to get mad at me for saying that, but I do believe that because any boy that's had a big mama would tell you that, or a grandma, or that's who stands out typically when you talk to guys about who's that person in their mind. I know for my brothers, it's always my grandma. But with that being said, with women being kind of like the cornerstone in the house, what would you say are some of the biggest emotional blocks or traumas or mental traumas that you've seen that hold them back from pursuing the life that they really want or deserve, I should say?
I really connect that to the emotional dysregulations. I think that women have a lot of visitation with. And I'm not saying women in general that we are just dysregulated emotionally, but I find that when we're not understanding our emotional sort of DNA, we're more apt to, it's true. That will be the foundation on how we actually operate. and how we make decisions, how we can get to clarity and logical thought processes. And I think it's a good thing that we are made up the way we are, being the right in the cavity,
right.
being in that cavity of emotions. But I think now the modern woman in this 20th century, there has to be a shared experience on and with everything in the household, right?
Yeah.
Because those traditions have changed. And even through those different traditions, we see women doing pretty much, I don't think I've seen a woman not do something nowadays. Women do everything.
Pretty much. Name something, because I can't think of nothing they don't do.
I can't think of one either, because we're flying planes, we are
in the army,
in service, we drive, we are in leadership,
people, we build buildings,
we're in science, we are creators, we're entrepreneurs, we are in politics, and we're in political bodies.
we're cool.
I'll go with that. We're pretty cool. I think the women just being the host to know how to make decisions that is very wide and long, because women are openly created that way, right? To reproduce when she does, or when her whole entire makeup is to allow others to come in, right? So that's a woman's, I think, stance in human life, right? Is to be open for the love, the hurt, right? For others. And I think that because of that, and because she's the host for everyone else's emotions and cares, and and being the person that has the understanding of caring for someone else, and that time and patience that's built within her, I think they could be the best financial advisors and decision makers, right? But on a day in and a day out, while she's doing that work with caring for others, taking care for everyone else, and making decisions for everyone else, it's hard to get her to sort of individualize herself and not be so collective.
I was sitting here this morning actually having that conversation, because I was at the gym this morning and I was looking at, and I don't even know why today it just struck me, but as I was in the gym, I was looking around at just the women that was in there, like that were going in and out, and it was like real early, and I was just thinking about sometimes what it takes to choose yourself, as if you're, even when you're in, I'm not even saying for people who have little kids or anything, but I just think as women, even when we have aging parents or aging family members or grandparents, that typically the women, the daughters, are the ones that go and take care of their parents and help out. Or if you have older kids, or you have, once you get older kids, you typically have grandkids, and then you show up even as a grandparent in something. I just feel like women do all the things. And when I was seeing some of those women walking there, I was just thinking about sometimes how hard it is, because it was hard for me this morning to get up and go. I literally forced myself. I was like fighting with myself. Wow, I'm tired. I didn't sleep well. But when I got there, I was just thinking about what it takes to choose yourself and choose to do things that don't always come from a place of like where you come from. Because I think like now in this mental health space we're in, we have a lot of women who are trying to work through mental health challenges and work through generational things that have been passed down to them emotionally, right? And a lot of times we learn how to behave and how to react and how to communicate because of what we saw, right? How we were taught to, right? I hear about attachment styles and stuff like that. As I look at people who I used to be thinking about teaching women how to get to level up their money and get to the bag and have this chase this dollar, I started to realize quickly that that was just taking over basically covering up the mess, not really dealing with what's under the surface, like buying things, money. That's all wonderful, and I'm not, trust me, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to that, but I think that learning how to regulate your emotions, learning how to understand where this behavior is coming from, why are we doing the things we're doing, and how to overcome some of it is the first step, I think, to what I call that thriving, not surviving.
Mhm. I
And
always have something like that in my office. It's funny you said that. That's exactly what we said.
it's kind of surviving. I'm like, we want that, but it's not. It's like, and I see people say, well, you just need to do this and you just need to do that. But it's not that easy because we're trying to also show up and do all of the things. And me, you just named all of the just the different industries that we're in now. And think
Mhm.
about how we still, till this day, even though some of me we're the best for the job, but because we're women and don't be a woman of color, we still have to fight to prove that we're the best. And we still have to show up a certain kind of way. And because we have to do that and also do all of the things
Mhm.
that women still do and historically have done, it is a bit of a challenge. And I think that's why this is a perfect storm, me and you coming together, because I don't know. I think you can put us up against anybody. I think we can help them. I really do with me and you. I think because you've helped me already so much in our personal conversation. I'm like, please, anybody, come on. We will if you can be the roughest and the worst. Look, it will take you. I guarantee you, will get you to where you're trying to go. Right.
Rainbow.
From there, I wanted to talk about. I know that I see working with business owners. I wanted to bring this up because business is the reason for the season for me. Working with a lot of entrepreneurs. I know both of us are in the entrepreneur space too, as well. And I think we're all in that. We talk about survival mode, but also I know we're going to talk about this in topics, but I wanted to touch on it. How we deal with that imposter syndrome a little bit. And we do. And it shows up in how we price ourselves. And that shows up with connection to the self worth, right? The self worth issue is huge. And it shows up in how we do business and how we do relationships. And I wanted to know your take on that.
Can I add, because I'm going to come clinical. Let me just add all of the intrusive self talk that it does to help you to be reminded of all of that, what you just said. Okay. I'll just leave
Yes.
it. Now, it's silent and it's noisy, right? And in my case, silent being I'm hiding behind prices. Oh, because now I have all this compassionate fatigue. But I look on the other side, I'm like, and I have all these expenses. Ooh, I don't want to turn anyone away because I've been there, done that, or I've seen that before. It's
Yep.
familiar and I'm feeling bad. And then the expenses are bad.
It's always crippling you on both ways, right?
Both ways. Just tear me up. Tear me up.
And I think so, and I look at it from so I like you just brought up the compassion side. And I also look at it from the side of always feeling like I gotta prove myself to be worth this. Oh, well, I should probably just do this for a little longer before I charge this, or maybe I shouldn't go after that because maybe I'm not ready. And meanwhile, in between time, which kudos to guys a lot of times, guys will just go after it. They're like, I don't need you to tell me. They're just like asking for the raise, asking for the promotion. And
Built
kudos
that way.
for doing that. That is something we need to pick up from them, but I feel like a lot of times with women, I don't want to say all women, but generally, a lot of women don't do that because we're always like you said, we're coming from this compassion. Oh, I want to help. I want to be helpful. And in the meanwhile, in between time, we are like tearing our own stuff down. Like you said, the expenses are out of this world and we're giving out freebies. And so now we're having this issue of balance again, right?
Mhm.
Because we're letting ourselves down. over here. And then we're giving away something that is actually valuable that people really would value if we valued it. People pay for things that they find value in.
Absolutely.
Right? We know that. We all know that because I know I will go and spend on something I love or I really want. I think we all do. But I think,
Mhm.
like you said, that it's that nurturing or that compassionate and the emotional side of things that makes us go, well, I could just, okay, this one time kind of thing. And so I know I'm not going to go too far into that because that's a whole thing.
We'll get to that. We'll dive more because we're
We're
gonna
going
have
to talk
to.
so
Yeah.
much more about that. I especially want to talk about the self worth and how it shows up in your profession and how it shows up in the things, the opportunities that you go after, right? And I can't wait to talk about how it shows up in your relationship.
Whole
Ooh,
nother segment. What's that? Or
I don't want to. Ooh, that one's gonna be rough.
3?
Wait,
Because they're gonna want to hear that.
they're gonna want to hear that one for sure. Couple more things I did want to ask you because I saw some of this on your site, but when I first saw you speak, I know one of the main things that stuck out to me is you had us do kind of like a mindfulness practice and you had us like
Mhm.
close our eyes and kind of take a minute, do some deep breathing. And I think that day was rough. It was like a rough couple of days. And I don't think I had just took a moment to take a deep breath all day or maybe in a day or so. And it was just that few little minutes was almost really emotional for me just to stop and have somebody give me permission to say,
Mm.
take a minute, take a deep breath. Let's take some mind. Let's like chill for a second and let's do some work on our mind and our spirit. And it was a game changer for me. And it reminded me about I knew to do that, but I had just got out of practice to even try doing that. When you had us do that, and when I heard you speak, it was awesome. And I wanted to ask you before we kind of start to wrap up. I know people want to know. We have the Google on the phone and on the line, not on the phone, but on the video. What are some tools or starting points that you would say people should use, some strategies for healing mental health? I know a lot of people dealing with anxiety, one of them, and that influences our decision making. What are some of your favorites, like tools or strategy you would say somebody could implement today to make them feel better?
And yes, absolutely. And thank you for that. I'm so glad the meditation the part that we got to was it was touching and it sort of gave some awareness to the stress that we carry and it's benign a lot. To keep it very general for today, I I like to consider myself a realist,
Yeah,
right? And because I thrive off of that or I
yeah,
survive off of that, right? If it's considerably the goods and bads, I stand in the sandwich of that always, and I'm okay with that.
yeah,
But to keep it general, I want people to tell themselves their truth. I want this time and age and all this stuff that we know about and the stuff that we know, all the stuff we go through,
yeah,
everything that's going on. I just want humans to tell themselves their truth.
yeah,
And when that is too hard and too tough, and when those things really are there in front of you, just make a little list and put it away. Put it away and reach out. Reach out. We're here.
yeah.
Reach out. Come
Yeah,
talk to us here. Come get some resources. If I want people to tell themselves their truth.
I agree. One of the things that on the other side of that, for far as financial stresses, one of the things that I have found most helpful is the fact of just being honest about where you are financially.
You,
Just telling yourself, and I know sometimes that's the hardest part is people. I know a lot of people don't even want to get up and check their bank account, check the credit. They just want to act like none of this stuff is happening. And I know that it's tough because I know sometimes it's kind of like I don't know what I'm gonna hear when I tell myself the truth. You know what I'm saying? Know
Yeah.
what's come from that. And sometimes we don't want to be honest. But I think that that is one of the most powerful things that you can do is start with a conversation, the conversation with yourself. And I know a lot of people have asked me for being in finance, being a wealth coach and stuff like that. Why are you so harping on mental health all the time? But it is so personal for me because a lot of the things that I've been able to overcome and a lot of the opportunities I've been afforded, a lot of the things I've been able to do has been because I've had this, you just said, this real conversation with myself. And it wasn't because I'm genius and I figured it all out. It was because I asked for help. And I found people who supported me and helped me along the way mentally. And that's why I think it's so important to incorporate the two, and which is why I asked you to work with me on this work because I think it's important. I really do. I think
Yeah.
having these conversations is so important. I was thinking about people are online all day and we're scrolling and we're looking at stuff that doesn't affect us really. It doesn't matter. It's not going to matter in 5 minutes, right? Most of it doesn't matter after 30 seconds. I was thinking about how many times we start the day, especially people who are believers, who believe in God, and we have this relationship, we say, spiritually with God, but we start every day one way and we stay the same the whole day and we wake up the same way again. And I was sitting here thinking about that doesn't sound like God to me. I think that we are not tapping into the power of God and we're not using our resources properly, which is why we keep feeling like we're not experiencing any transformation, right? But I think that also it could be that we're expecting this big thing. I know me and you talked about it. We're expecting this big, huge thing to happen. And it's kind of like these little bitty things that happen and change as you have that real conversation with yourself. That's like the first step, right? Once you start having them true conversation, I know it's like even with dating, you go out with somebody and it's like, if you think about it, like dating yourself, right? But if you date with a guy, you just meet him, y'all go out, and oh, he's so nice. And you're looking at him, he's great looking. But there's stuff that he does or says, and they're like red flags. But like, no, you're not being honest, right? You're not having that real conversation with yourself about that this is something's up here. And something is going on. And let's have a real let's reflect here and see what's really happening and see, do we really want to go down that? Do we really want to choose that choice? And I think that that's something that we don't do a lot. I think we're just afraid to have the conversation. We're just like, no, I'm gonna keep going. I know I'm thinking about when you spend it, go buy that. Well, just one more thing. I know me and you talk about the sales. And I was online shopping. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's on sale. It's the last day for 60%. Oh my goodness, they're never gonna do this again ever in history. Girl, that was the same sale as last week. That was they literally text you that sale. Have that truthful conversation with yourself, guys. I think is really, really important. Just starting to write it out if you can. It's so important. Thank you for that. I know as this audience builds, as I've been thinking about who's gonna listen to this, who's gonna feel impacted by this. And I know that while it is going to be some people who are doing pretty okay for themselves, but want to be a part of an empowering community, I know there's going to be people who are feeling stuck and feeling down and feeling like they don't belong or they feel like they've missed their opportunity. And I think that that's what I'm most excited about is those people showing up and listening conversation because I think me and you are going to get into some things that are really going to help that person who is looking for an answer. And I know we both have prayed that God uses us to be an answer. And so I'm excited about who's going to feel like this is exactly what I needed and feel like they have kind of that new fresh breath. And so I can't wait for the next episodes and conversations between me and you. And I wanted to know, what are you excited about? What are you excited about as we go into this series of wealth and mental health conversation?
Oh, excuse me. I am overexcited just about who's going to be touched. And like you said, in the sense where, oh, this was the piece that I needed and it fits right into the puzzle, right? That had me kind of going around it. Now I know exactly what I want to do. I can envision communities powering up, joining together, collaborating. I can just believe that this right here in these conversations that you and I are having is the antidote to the communities being free from the real bondage that has them in bondage, rather, which is money and mental health. Everything else will, for me, I'm excited that once these two things are broken down and in areas that are understood, talked about more honestly, more truer to what is really going on, the takeaway it is only God's power, God's love, because his love is power. So anything that aligns up to with God and his power is going to be a watered seed.
Oh, speaking my language. I love language. It's gonna be a watered seed. Oh my goodness. That is our hope. That is my hope too. I'm excited about it because also I think anybody tuning into this, we've talked about your background. I'm also gonna leave your bio and website for anybody that wants to check it out in the description of the episode. But I also wanted to say that you are a true professional, and this is not just a lot of heavy opinion from you or myself. I'm a professional in the school for this stuff. We've worked in the industry, and I think what qualifies us most is number one, God qualified us, but number two, we've lived most of it and we breathed it. Like we've made the mistakes, we've done the things, and we came out victorious. And so I think that people who stick with us, give us a shot with this, and keep listening and tuning in are going to really be pleasantly surprised, and hopefully they share it. That's my hope, is that everybody who listens shares it.
Mhm.
And let's I was thinking about, let's lock hands and heal together and try to do some work in our family system, in our cultural system, right? Our communities. It's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world every day. I know if you turn on the news, it's just like, what's
Yeah.
what's going on? The
Yeah.
world that we once known is changing fast. We got to remember that it's no president that's going to save you. There's no politician. There's nobody. It's you that's going to save you, and you need to lock in with God, and you need to get it done. And we can't be waiting around for crazy stuff to happen. We got to start doing the work ourselves. I'm excited. I'm so excited about this. I just want to say, for everybody who tuned in, that kind of felt like this is a conversation that I want to continue to be a part of. Some of the stuff that we got coming up, we got some heat. We cooking in the kitchen. This was just a warm up. This was literally just us introducing why we think this is so important. But we got some stuff. We're gonna talk about some relationships. Whew, picking the wrong person and the right person, right? We're going to talk about how faith and therapy go together, because a lot of times we know in our culture they did not go together very well. Having church and going to therapy was like two separate lives, right? They did not go together. And we want to talk about how we think God brought those two together. I know we both agree on that. How God can use prayer and therapy as a holistic strategy, right? To make us. So we're going to talk about that, navigating relationships, friendships, I think that's a big, especially for women, because women are heavy on the friendships and the sisterhood and talking about how that can be awesome. I know we both have some great sisterhood, girlfriends, and friendships in our lives that have been a big support to us. We definitely gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about spending habits, how y'all throwing y'all money away out there. I'm just joking. How we all have done that, right? We all have not always been very good stewards of our money and why that's important. We're gonna talk about principles. I can't wait to talk about what God says about money and how to steward your finances and how to invest wisely. Who would have thought the Bible actually tells us how to do that very clearly? And so I know we're going to talk about that as well. DEI, that's a big topic. We got to touch on that. I can't wait to talk about the. Some people I think don't even really quite understand what it is and how it impacts women of color, women in general, right? And women of color, especially in professional spaces. I know we're going to talk about mindset. That's my favorite. Mindset change. Change the way you think and you will change the way you live. I can't wait to talk about that. And I know we got a page of things. Page to talk about. It's crazy how many things. Y'all stuck with us for a while. I can't wait. If you subscribe and you follow us both, you are definitely going to be in the loop when the next episode is available and ready for you to watch, comment, let us know your thoughts, questions. Don't worry, we can take the heat. Let us know whatever you're thinking. We're excited to learn too. We want to learn. We want to hear from you. We're not saying we're the absolute of all answers. We're basically just the vessel to kick off the conversation and have these difficult conversations and make them fun and make them transformational and make you feel like when you walk away, you're like, oh, I'm getting ready to go do something different. That's what we're here to do. I'm trying to think. Anything else, my love? What do you think? Would you like to add before we wrap up?
I would just want to add for every episode, just have your pen and your journal books. You can order mine, hers.
Can you please? I'm going to link that in the notes too, in the description. But can you talk about that really quickly? Because I definitely did not mean to say that.
And you didn't. I know you didn't. Just a journal book, but you reminded me, and we just forgot it in here. It's a nice, basic, simple journal book. It helps to get that conversation that I mentioned earlier, to get the processy thoughts, just to get them triggered. But then you'll have a little bit of few pages just to, when you jolt yourself, to write it down so you can objectively be able to see what actually is going on in here. Because these are the things that Kyra and I will talk to you about, and me more on a clinical side. We can break that down as general as possible, right? To give you information about what is actually going on. I would just say, have your pen or pencil, have something to write with, have your journal book, have it with you when you're sitting down and chit-chatting with us, because we're going to have our key moments, but we are going to have some time to really reflect, because we're going to move that pencil. We're going to move it right off the paper.
And I think that's important because I know a lot of people is like, especially when you listen to stuff like this, is it just going to be a conversation? It's not. This is really, we're really going to bring some. I know you guys have no idea. We have conversations outside of this and we write notes on our own personal conversation because we be talking about things that I think impact the both of us. And this is going to be one of those things you want to come with a pen and we're going to walk through some steps and some tips and some things for you to kind of jot down and marinate on or implement right away. Where do they get the book and like how can they order that bad baby?
Oh, yes. So sorry about that. So why therapy? Why not? Just a little brief on this journal book. I talk about, because I advocate for mental health services. I believe in the service, but I believe in the receiver getting what they need for them. I'm
Yes.
always right. I'm always on the side in front of people getting what they need for them. And this journal, I just briefly talk about my own experience and having and needing a preference so I can have a relatable conversation with someone that not only can understand me, but actually has a reflection of me in society. I generally just go through that in the book, and I walk with you and guide you on how to work with rejection and things like that in terms of receiving service. As a person of color, I don't think we can get away with having a conversation without acknowledging that we have been faced with some particular type of rejection in terms of being on the side of our hands open to receive, right? I think it's fair that we do talk about that when we will, and we will talk more about what that, how that affects us, and how to overcome those things. That way you can always be appropriate about who you are and what you're doing, and definitely what you deserve. You deserve a free mind. You deserve a loving heart, right? And this journal will guide you with that, just give you a little synopsis of me, and then give you some tips in the back on some breathing exercises that you can do. Me and Kyra talked about one of them earlier, and to give you an identity of what symptoms are, like of anxiety, depression. I know you can doodle and Google, but I am right one here.
You are you're a professional, and it's good, and that's why I could have I think I could have very good conversations with a lot of women that I know and respect, but your expertise and in what you do, you're not just another person to just be talking about mental health with. You like live and breathe this every day. You live helping people through this type of stuff. Like this is you ain't faking. You really on the court making a shot. I do want people to understand that we're not just talking this stuff. We actually do the work that we're talking about. We're not
We do the work.
Watching videos. We're in the trenches.
In the trenches. Well, y'all getting dinner done, kids off to school. We are getting your numbers together, Kyra, not me. And I'm over here getting your thoughts together to get you something to, right, be able to keep family together.
And we're giving this information away. This is just downloadable information you can just watch and get. I'm excited to see what God does through us. Please purchase Why Therapy, Why Not?
Amazon, the website.
Amazon or the website. I'm going to link the website. Do you have can you share the website and then social media or anything you want to share? Do you want people to just go to the website, or do you want them to follow you, or anything you want to share that? I'll share mine.
Sure, absolutely. The website is the best place. Social media, I am Maria Psychological Services, and you could, when you see it there somewhere, it will be on this side right there. You can go there, and then all the links are there to the social media, Psychology Today page, and also www.moreaspc.com, which will be in the link.
All right, guys. So you can catch me. You can catch me here on YouTube. Go to my Instagram page and follow me there. It's going to be in the notes as well. But you're stuck with us. We're not going anywhere. We're going to get you through. 2025 is going to be great. I know it doesn't seem, I know it's so much going on, but trust me, it's going to be a great year. We're going to leave this year better than ever before. I feel like some quantum leaps this year where we're going to go through some stuff. Sometimes it's rough when you got to go through a little change and a little transformation. It starts off like that. That conversation that you were saying for us to have by ourselves, I was sitting there thinking, ooh, that's kind of how I started the year. That was a rough having that truth conversation. But I think like now I'm excited. I'm kind of like, I'm ready. I got through that moment, and now I feel like I have this momentum, and I'm ready. I'm ready for what God has for me next. We want to share that feeling with everybody else, and tune in for all the topics that we mentioned and much more. You never know what we're going to do. You don't know. We took it easy tonight, but you never know what we're going to come out with. We might, you never know. We might pull up something crazy, but I'm excited.
We are led.
We are led. We're going to have fun doing it too. It's going to be fun. I wanted to thank you again for doing this with me. Everybody, please follow my friend and check my friend out. She's the real deal. I am so honored to kick off this series and this whole project. We don't even know where it's going to go. We're just being obedient, and we're excited about it. To everyone listening, please, we need you to like and share it. Right? We can't keep all this for ourselves. We want to keep this going. We need you to like and share it with a friend and tune in, because we're building something. We're building something beautiful here. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Until next episode, we're out of here.
Thank you.